Welcome back. My next event is the Victorian Super Sprint Championship, which is a one-off event held over 2 days at Winton Raceway. So I've entered into that and that's in a couple of weeks' time. So the car ran really well. It's colder and I'm quite happy with the way it's going. So I think I'm just going to leave it the way it is. With 2 days, we get, I believe, 8 sets of runs. So I should be able to experiment with timing, exhaust, and the intake trumpets. I've got a different exhaust that I can put on it. And I've got a set of round tube type inlets that are supposed to create more torque. So I can experiment with those on the day, but in the meantime, I'll leave the car alone. Apart from, I will try and prepare it for a roadworthy so I can finally get it on club registration. So that's the idea. Oh, but the other plan I've got for this video is to not say so at the start of every introduction, because unfortunately I seem to have a bad habit of it. So here we are once again at Phillip Island. So here are all the parts. So here's a quick update. So here's the wiring I've ended up with. So we're about to go out. There you go. I'm going to try not to say so, but I will keep going and we will see how we go with the roadworthy, and I'll just keep you up to date with all of the bits and pieces. I was due to get the car roadworthy next week, but unfortunately I decided after Calder Park to charge the battery up, and while I was charging the battery up I discovered a fuel leak coming from that front fitting on the fuel filter. So I am now going to pull that out. I've already tried to fix that. I can't get hold of this exact fuel filter, so I'm going to pull everything out, go to EFI Hardware in Melbourne and see if I can get the bits to join from the pressure relief valve with a new fuel filter, possibly through to the front of the car, but I'll work that out once I get there. 2 things have happened. One of them is bad but okay, and the other one is proving to be a bit of a problem. So the Victorian Super Sprint Championship was cancelled, which means I have no more races left this year. So my next race will be next year, so I've got plenty of time to work on the car. The bad news is the fuel leak problem has become a lot worse than I thought, due to a variety of factors. So let's have a look at the bits and pieces, because I've just now, because I've got the time to look after the car, I've pulled all of the fuel system off or separated it out of it, and I'm going to replace quite a bit of it. So we'll go through the old stuff and I'll show you the new stuff as well. These are the parts from the fuel system that I've taken off. So basically from the tank we have this, which is the 1/2 inch outlet, which is fine. So the car went through a 1/2 inch upgrade. This pipe here is the pipe carrying through to the fuel pump. This is rock solid, so that's rubbish, so I'm going to replace that. Once it's gone through the fuel pump, this is the pressure regulator, and this is the original filter that was in it. The leak was from the front here. For some reason or other, it's put together with a brass olive, and the end is very bad here. So that's where the leak was coming from. Also, in pulling it apart, I did discover that the date is 1st month 2002. So that's obviously garbage. This pipe here connected, I had to cut this apart to get the nut off, connected through to a tube, just plastic with clips on it that go through to one of these plastic tubes that runs through to the front of the car. And this one here is obviously
goes from the metering block at the top down to the plastic tube at the bottom with this adapter as well. The problem that I've got is none of these, these are current sizes, or I don't know what it is, but we just can't match the threads. It's real trouble. So basically I'm just going to try and replace all of it apart from these two parts. So all of this stuff is going to go. I will still keep some of the parts and we will try and make something up, because yeah, it's a problem. Everything that's left in the car here I'm keeping, even though there are a couple of hose clamps rather than bolt together parts, but this is all bolt together. It's a bolt together for the top of the fuel regulator, and everything else will be a bit bolt together. They're all low pressure. The high pressure one is a bolt on from the fuel pump through to the regulator, so we're okay with that. So I've cleaned out and repainted in here. It's a bit average, but it's basically just to clean it out and make it neat. I'm keeping the hoses the way they are in here. They will bolt onto the bits they need to bolt onto. I just have to put another vent from underneath there. I've got an outlet under there, and I'll run a tube from there all the way across here and down to a sort of a breather tank down here, and it will exit down this little hole in there, and that will be the vent for the fuel tank. And this is what I've ended up as replacement parts. So obviously I've got a lot of AN fittings. I'm putting a tap in so that I can actually replace the filters and not have to put clamps across the whole system to stop it from leaking. Ryco fuel filter, easily replaceable, and it has bolt-in fittings, so it complies with the rest of the bolt-in idea. I'll be running aluminium stainless steel tubing. I believe this is actually aluminium, but it's rated to 600 psi, which should be more than enough for the car. And I've got the original hose, some hose that I got from another guy on Facebook. I'm putting this in as the breather tube because it's fairly thin bore and I've got no other use for it. I've got some small braided and non-braided hose. So hopefully we'll put all of this together and I will have a fully bolt together fuel system which won't leak, and then I can get the car rolling. Fingers crossed.
I'm sure this has happened to other people, not just me, but I started making this video on the 14th of November. I still had one race to go, Christmas and New Year to look forward to, etc, etc. It is now the 3rd of January and the car is still up on jacks because I've just had so many other things that have got in the way of doing things, not least of which was my own procrastination, I guess. So baby steps, I am going to try and do a few bits to the fuel system because that's basically all I've got to do left to get it ready for roadworthy. I've only got one race. No, that's not quite right. I've got a race in January which I can't go to. So end of January, start of February, because I go to the Bathurst 12-hour GT3 race every year, and it coincides. So my first race for the Mark Sports Cars is in March. Now that will give me plenty of time, apart from the fact that I want to do the Rob Roy Hill climbs this year as well. And the first one of those is in February. So let's crack on with the fuel system, and our baby steps. I'll just do a couple of little bits at a time and we'll see how we go. This has been my problem, trying to fit hose ends onto the end of this, which tends to fray, and I couldn't work out exactly how to do it. But yesterday I got 2 done, so I think I've developed a way of sorting this out. This is the one that goes in between the fuel tap, which will go in line, and that will help it if when I have to replace filters or clean filters, like this one, which is, you probably can't see it, but there is an arrow on that tells you the direction of flow, which is very hard to see. It's that way. So that's basically in the boot, and this will go through. So this goes on this end, so I just have to measure the length of this, and I have to take, I can never get these open, they're very difficult. There we go. So this is the fitting that goes on the fuel tank. So that screws into the fuel tank that way. And then I've got the angled fitting here, which goes onto the end of this pipe to take it from underneath the car into the boot.
After much trial and error, this is the fitting I've ended up with from the petrol tank. So it's a black one instead of a silver one, but this one actually fits properly. Connected to the outlet from fuel pump is this 90-degree bend, and then that takes the pipe down here and into the boot of the car here, which is that way up. And then it comes out of the bulkhead through into the tap and to the previously assembled filter. And this is what I've ended up with. So I've got the electrics back in the previous spot. I've got lines all the way through. That's my vent from the fuel tank, which vents down to the bottom there, so it's sort of like a catch can. Fuel filter. There's a piece of rubber hose down there, which unfortunately I had to put in because I'm racing at Rob Roy tomorrow and I'm rushing to get the car done. So all I need to do now is start it up and make sure there's no leaks. The battery's connected. Everything seems to be okay. I've turned the fuel tap on, so everything's dry. Unfortunately, underneath the front of the car, there is a bit of a puddle. If I turn on the key, you can see rather a horrendous leak there. So that means more work to do, and I'm going to give up. I'm not going to make the race tomorrow. So I think that's going to be the end of it for this video, and I'm going to have to pull that unit off and go through it. Oh well, the trials and tribulations. Right, it's now March, and this is taking a lot longer than I expected it to.
Anyway, it's intermittent showers, so I've got a gazebo up over the engine bay, and I'm going to attempt to fix the leak on the distributor by pulling it out and resealing. So let's give it a go. I'll do it on time lapse so that it doesn't take too long. All right then, this is how it's come out. So just to recap, I put the engine on top dead center because I just want to put everything back in the way it came out and hopefully not disturb it. I've left the injectors on because that way I can just replace the seals in here one at a time and not get them mixed up. And it came out with a very brittle gasket that was in two pieces, and there was another half a gasket under there as well. So yes, we'll fix that up. Now, 3 bolts holding this together. This is where the petrol leak is, and I believe either under that one or that one there's a diaphragm. I'm not sure which one, so I'm going to take this very gently and hopefully I won't stuff it up.
Right, I'll just give it a good clean up. I can't see any obvious signs of damage with the seal. So why it's leaking, I'm not 100% sure, but I'll give it a clean up and then we'll put it back together again. All right, the unit's back in place. I've also replaced the hose there, the braided stainless steel one. There used to be a really ratty piece of hose there, which actually possibly caused the leak. But anyway, I have plugged it all in, and now all that remains is to start it up. I haven't put the strut brace in yet, so that I can still get to stuff if I need to. The last thing I want to install is this safety cutout switch, which I'm going to put down here so that it's away from the fuel line, but it will splice into the power feed for both of the motors for the fuel pump. So that goes on next. Alrighty then. The car seems to be going very well. I have 2 weeks to go until the race at Sandown. We've got the Mark Sports Car track day on the Saturday, and then the Porsche 5-hour regularity relay on the Sunday. So I'm going to try and get a roadworthy for the car in between now and then, and hopefully there'll be some video footage, probably not from the Sunday, but I'll definitely do some from the from the Saturday, sorry. And as a postscript, I actually won a trophy with the car. So I won the championship trophy, which is more for consistency, I guess, than anything else, in the Triumph Sports Owners Association in Victoria. So I'm very happy about that, and hopefully this year I'll go on to bigger and better things with possibly a positioning class in the Mark Sports Car competition. Okay, wish me luck, and I'll see you in the next one.